G'day folks, how you going? Welcome to the brewery. Brew day. Clearly. Mash tuns over there. Just put 22.5 litres of water in it, which is our mash water for 12 litre batch we're doing today. I'm about to weigh up some grain, but before I get into that, let's just a quick shout out to Little John's Patreons. Thank you guys for your support. That support that keeps the channel going. If you're interested, have a look down the bottom there. There's a link in the description. If you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button down there. If you are subscribed, great. You're getting notified when everything's happening. And if you like what's going on while you're watching, give me a thumbs up as well. Down there in the middle somewhere. All these things keep the channel going. Makes me feel good about myself. But anyway, what I'm doing today is the first of 3 batches, very similar batches, where I'm going to use 3 different base malts and just sort of compare how they go. Now the malts are Voyager, Schooner, Atlas and Veloria. So it's a Pilsner malt and basically 2 pale ale malts. All are slightly different roasting levels, so they're all just a little bit different. This is sort of just to have a bit of a look at the difference that each different one brings to the base of your beer. So what I'm doing is 3 fairly straightforward brews with each of the malts. They'll all have a little bit of supply stock and a little bit of slight support from different ingredients, but they're going to be very basic. I said 12 litre recipes. Each batch will get a 2 kilo base malt with 400 grams of some assistance, just for a little bit of flavour, but not a lot, and then very similar hopping schedule on each, again using different hops, but with very similar outcomes. So overall the whole profiles are going to be fairly similar. I had tossed up just doing simple smash beers with each grain with the same hop, but at the end of the day I didn't really want 3 batches of what would be fairly similar beers. What I'm looking at doing is running some hopping and especially grains along the lines of the style that the grain is sort of designed to be used for, or the range where it's going to, I think, it's going to work fairly well. So first cap off the batch today is the Atlas. We're starting with the lightest fella. The Atlas is Voyager's, well, one of their Pilsner malts. I think they got 2. Basically it's bean malted, they say, in the style of a classic German floor malted barley, which within process causes the grain to be a little bit less modified than a lot of modern malts. So this is certainly one of those malts that falls into that range of potentially creating DMS, which can cause an issue, and you normally see people using a 90-minute boil for that. I'm only going to be using a 60-minute boil today. It's only a smaller batch in the 50 litre kettle. I will get a decent boil going on, so I'm hoping that will be enough to drive off any DMS that is in the brew, and we don't get stuck with some nasty flavours come tasting day. That's the hope. That's the hope anyway. So 2 kilos of Voyager Atlas, 200 grams of carapils, for a little bit of help the head retention. Because with this being under modified, normally I'd be looking at doing with that sort of malt, I'll be looking at doing a step mash, coming up from probably in the 40s, 43 to 53 degrees into a mid 60s. I'm not doing that. The carapils is to help us make sure we're going to get a little bit of, hopefully help with the head retention. that may be missing by not going through those simple steps. I'm only going to do a single step mash. So and I'm using 200 grams of Voyager biscuit, and I'll give a shout out while I'm pouring this to Matty Ursak and the Hop Wizard, who has supplied me with a few extra grains, including this this biscuit malt. So I'm hoping the biscuit malt will give us a little bit of depth of malt flavour, again sort of helping with the not stepping through the mash, and also give us some nice little toasty notes on the grain, working towards that sort of traditional biscuity, toasty, European type of body Pilsner finish. So that's it. I'm going to mash that when we get to 67 degrees. Well, obviously water's coming to 70. I'm going to mash it at 67, but we'll get that on shortly. Certainly helps if you mill the grain before you mash in. Rightio, we're at about 70 degrees. I'm looking for 65 degree mash temp. I miscalculated. Actually, I thought I'd bloody calculate on 67, but no. So this will probably end up a little bit above that, but won't kill us. So go on the brew in the bag, because I just don't want. I don't want to muck around with two bloody vessels, only small batches, and I'd have to transfer out of this, which means I'm going to lose a whack of volume, which is going to really knock the efficiency around. I just want to keep just one simple bloody pot. So we'll get this in. Not all in one go. Get some rice hulls in there. There we go. Just a couple of fistfuls. Just a good mix in. I try to avoid using the brew in the bag as this pot is set up, because there's a bloody temperature probe is like yay far into the bloody kettle sitting here, so it sticks into the bag, so it does provide an opportunity for ripping the bag if I'm not careful, but it's certainly not such an issue on small batch like this. And like I said, let's just make the day a little bit easier. Put the balls in there, make sure we got all them balls broken up. Alright, I've got the recirc arm in here. I will recirc this the whole time we're going. But as I said, this is full volume, except for 1.5 litres. I've kept 1.5 litres back, which I'll use just as a sparge, just to make sure we can rinse out the grain fully, which will get us 24 litres, which is pretty much target volume. Let's get this bloody pump going. And I think that will do me nicely. So I'll come back every so often, give this a bit of a stir, but at the moment it's going to run for 40 minutes, and then we'll go to a 72 degree mash up. Righto, mash is done. We've had a little bit of an incident though, a bit of stuff up on my part. I forgot that the temperature probe is out by 10 degrees on the temp controller. So I've actually been mashing at more like 74 degrees instead of 65. So essentially I've created possibly a very unfermentable wort. Which is not ideal. So what I'm planning on doing is I'm going to just continue as planned, but I'm going to add an extra, well I've already added about an extra 1.5 litres of water, and what I'll do is I will add about 1 gram of glucoamylase into the ferment. And I'm hoping that will break down some of the excess unfermentable sugars and still get us into a reasonable point. Yeah, bit of a stuff up. I don't know, I shouldn't have missed it, but I did. And anyhow, most of that out of there. Jug's just coming back to a boil. Actually just boiled now, so I'll get it and just run that through there just to rinse that out. Yeah, I took a gravity, took a refract reading just before the end of the boil, sorry, end of the mash, and we're sitting 1 point under. The target gravity, so I'm pretty happy with that, given we haven't really mashed where I wanted to. So yeah, even again, I don't think it's going to particularly matter. We can make that back up without too much trouble. So what I'm thinking, as I was discussing earlier with the DMS, I might bring the boil up to about 75 minutes instead of 60, and that will help to boil off that little bit extra water that I've got there, and that should get us back to our target start, and then leave us some nice room for the amylase to do its job, and as I said, hopefully only get us back to roughly where we would have finished anyway, without going too far. It's only, target ABV is only I think 4.3% anyway, so even, and that's with a target finish gravity of 1009. So even if we drop to 0.4, even 0.2, we're still only going to be in the very low fives, 5.1, 5.2%, which isn't certainly not excessive, and it's certainly in the realms of your typical Pilsner, and that's probably realistically more where they are than the 4.3. the 4.3 target was just a simple, because we're just doing a simple light batch. So, end of the day, I don't think it's going to hurt our beer too much. I think we're still going to finish up with something, yeah, in the realms of what we're after. At the very least, we're going to get a nice example of how this malt works. And regardless, I think we're still going to get a decent drinkable beer. So I'm happy with that. So this is coming up to a boil now. I'll let that happen. I'll catch us very shortly, and we'll have a talk about what hops are going in this fella. Rightio. I've gone through and just boiled this down till we've got to the original volume target. Gravity seems to be spot on at the moment, so I think we've pulled in that extra volume, so that's good. I've just propped our first lot of hops in. I'm just weighing the second lot. So what we're looking at for hops, I'm using Sequoia. Now I've used these before in the trial batch. I was playing around with yeast and things, and I remember thinking at the time that this would just seem like a hop that would work really well in a nice light lager. It was a gentle, I had a nice little bit of fruit note and some tropical, and attached grassy on the side, which I thought would just work really well with a lager slash Pilsner type thing. So that's why I'm going with this. So what I've got 8 grams just gone in now with 40 minutes in the boil, which is going to get me 18 IBU, and I've got 9 grams there which will go in with 10 minutes left in the boil, and that will get me another 8 IBU for a total of 26. So that's sort of target range I'm going for all 3 of these brews, these trials, between 26 and 30. So yeah. But anyway, so that's going to go in half an hour's time. Got some oil flock, I'll drop that in there at the same time. So I've just dropped the chiller in, so it's getting ready to cool. Okay, cooling's on. I've only got I think it's got the bottom of the chiller in, but she's doing the job. Got the pump on recirculating. Doing a bit of a whirlpool, so hopefully that'll help with the cool, get some more movement on the coils, but also hopefully get the front away from the drain valve so I can get everything out of here. But we're looking at target volume and target gravity at the moment, so good so far. Righto, we've got transfer finished. We've got 12 litres, or a fraction, just over 12 litres into the all-rounder. So we've hit target volume. Let's see how we go with the gravity. Target gravity is 1042. Let's look at it, 1041, and it's still a little bit warm. So I'm going to call that 1042. I think by the time we get a little bit of, once she's finished cooling, so bang, we're right on the numbers. So yeah, happy with that. So after a bit of mucking around and things not going real right, we've got where we're aiming for. So now we've just got to hope we get over the attenuation issue from the high mash. So but anyway, we're fermenting with S23. I've as far as I can remember, I've never used this. I've never used S23 on a brew. This is new. Again, this was given to me by the Hop Wizard. He gave me a couple of packs of yeast and things, and this is one of them. So it was between this and W3470, and I thought I'd go with the S23, give her a whirl. So I'm going to pitch this, just the one pack straight on the 12 litres. She's not high gravity by any stretch. So, and with I'm going to throw in just a small amount of glucoamylase. Yeah, just a dry enzyme pack. I haven't got it out. I'm going to get it in a second. So I'm hoping that will be enough to counteract that high mash and overcome what I'm assuming is going to be a lot of unfermentable sugar in the water. So I'm going to do that, get this on. I'm going to ferment at 11 degrees. This one has a recommended 11 to 15 degrees, so it's at the lower end. We might go 12. We might go 12 just to get it off the bloody bottom end. But that's it. So I'll see you soon when we're going to taste on it. Righto. Tasting time. Atlas Pils. I've just sat down, had just a bit of a look at the videos from Brew Day, and I'd forgotten that this was a bit of a muck up with the mashing, with the temperature and whatnot, and I can explain a little bit what we're about to talk about. Now, I haven't put any notes in here in Brewfather regards to adding the dry enzyme. I do recall doing that. Would explain why over the last little bit I've had this beer become a little overcarbed. I thought it may have been a gas issue in the kegerator. I think it's actually, I think there's been some extra fermentation go on post this going into the keg from that dry enzyme. And as I said, I've not got it listed here in Brewfather, which means, and I've forgotten about, so which means fair chance I've forgotten about it as I was going through. Of course, what's happened. So anyway, let's just quickly go through what happened post Brew Day. Fermented with the S23, one packet in the 12 litre batch, which, I'll explain shortly, this caused a little bit of an issue. We fermented at 12 degrees for 5 days, 15 degrees for 5 days, then dropped down to 1 degree for a 3-day, well, dropped over 2 days, and then on a 3-day cold crash. So original gravity was 1042, final gravity was 1009, which was target gravity. So when I've gone to the keg, I've gone, okay, well, we've got the gravity we expected, and thought nothing of it, obviously forgetting potentially about this dry enzyme. Now, this was bottled on 21st of May, so about 7 weeks ago. I pulled this out probably about 4 weeks ago, and had a try, and it was riddled. Well, riddled's probably a bit strong. It had a lot of diacetyl, very butterscotchy, very buttery. So I pulled the keg from the fridge and put it into the ferment chamber at 23 degrees and left it there for 2 weeks. Hoping that higher temperature would blow off the that diacetyl. As I said, looking at that ferment number, I didn't really give it a decent fucking time to do a de-rest. I rushed it through a little bit, and given there was only that one pack of yeast, which really should have been 2 packets even on the 12 litre batch, it wasn't under pitch, and I've got the resultant beer. So a bit of laziness and complacency has sort of kicked me in the pants a little bit. So 2 weeks into the ferment fridge at 23 degrees to try and blow off some of the diacetyl, and then it sat here on the floor of the brewery for about another week and a half. Till last Thursday, where it's gone back to the fridge to get cold. And that's where we've ended up. And I said she's a little bit gassy from the keg, and I'm not sure exactly whether it's gas or whether there's just been a little bit extra fermentation from the dry enzyme. And given 2 weeks at 23 degrees, it's very possible that the enzyme has actually chewed through a bit more of the sugars, and we've possibly dropped another point or two of gravity, which would give me the higher carb initially, which made it a little bit hard to pour. But all that aside, which has made it quite difficult to get a good read on this beer, we are where we're at, and it's not too bad. There's a little bit of the old diacetyl there. It's definitely way less than what it was. It is enough that it's part of the character of the beer, but it's not enough at the moment that it's off-putting. It's just lending itself to a quite soft, rounded, sweet sort of a malt. It's certainly not where I wanted this beer to be, but it's close enough that I can get a good idea of how this malt has worked, and that was the main thing. The Atlas is not a very prominent malt, not a malt you're seeing a lot of at the moment. That I discussed as Voyager's, Pilsner malt. It's pretty much their lightest malt, and I'm pretty confident it's produced quite a nice beer. Well, I think if you take away that little bit of a ferment problem, a little bit of the yeast problem, there is a really nice, solid, Pilsner malt sitting under this. That's quite a nice, tasty beer. With that little bit of sweetness taken off it that's sitting there from that diacetyl, this would be a lovely, crisp, clean, Pilsner slash, very light lager. We had extra grain, a bit of biscuit, a little bit of carapils, and they're just playing along really nicely. 8% of each. They're adding a little bit of character, but they're not doing anything of any significance. But there's just enough character from both that you can notice that you're noticing that they're there and they're giving just that little bit of extra to the brew. The Sequoia is playing lovely. I really like Sequoia in light beers. If you haven't tried it, do so. I've done it before. I've used it before in a trial beer. This is the second time I've just used it on its own, and it's just a real nice simple hop. In just a simple lager, the Sequoia just works really well. It's a bloody beautiful little hop. That is a beer that I will definitely be brewing again, as is. Hopefully without the mash issues, without the underpitch, and with and actually with a diacetyl rest, do it properly. But I think that there is a really good Pilsner. I think that the Sequoia works in keeping with the traditional style and the traditional feel and taste of the brew. Could do with maybe a little more up front. 17 IBU probably wouldn't hurt to push it to 22, 24. Maybe a little bit higher to really get some snap up front. And maybe pushing that boil out from the the addition from 40 minutes out to out to 60 would certainly help as well. But yeah, it's worked quite well. So for me, the Atlas is definitely a malt I'll be using more of. No doubt about it. Just those little bit of additions. I said this is biscuit in here. I think this would work quite well with a caramel instead of the biscuit. Maybe some toffee or a honey malt. But any of that sort of range of the lighter crystals that aren't sort of crystal, if you know what I mean. I think that all work. Even a little bit of Munich, Vienna, some Victory, those sort of things. I think that all work really well. But that's a great beer. So thank you to Matty Ursak, Hop Wizard, for the biscuit malt. Big shout out to Kev Bristol from Hopping Mechanism for the Sequoia. Shout out to Mike out there at Bulla Creek Brewing for the supply of the malt. And a big shout out to everybody at home who's watching. Patreon subscribers, thank you all very much. There's all the links down the bottom. Hit them for more information. Give me a thumbs up if you like what's happening. But grab the recipe. I'll stick a link in the description. It's bloody good. Definitely worth having a crack at. That's going to be a bloody beautiful beer for summer. But anyway, that's me, Little John. Till I see you again. Brewing beer, drinking beer, talking beer. Good brewing.